Over the last year, I've reviewed a lot of different cameras, going from smaller 4/3 cameras, compact cameras, DSLRs, different full frame cameras from different brands. And as much as I've enjoyed testing all these different cameras and learning things about them, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, I have come to a realization that for this year, for all of 2025, I want to stick to one camera. Specifically, I want to stick to one focal length. There might be two cameras in the mix. Yes, one of them is ye old RX1. I love this camera. I bought this kind of on a whim. Bit of a gamble. It is the older one. There's not a lot of great things about it, but the few great things about it for me make it stand out. But to me, this is kind of like the no-brainer. You expected this from the thumbnail, but there's something else. Something else I haven't really talked about or shown at all. A little while ago, I actually downsized from my 2-camera mirrorless setup for video and photography to just one camera, and that camera is the Sony a7C II. I had the original a7C, then I had the a7S III and the a6700, and then I was like, you know what, I want the best of both worlds, and this camera actually fits the bill for that. On the front of this camera is something that makes it pretty much identical to the RX1. We have two full-frame Sonys, the two most compact full-frame Sonys, both with 35mm f1.8 and f2 respectively lenses on the front of them. Why am I just using these two cameras for the next year? In the last year, I have almost entirely shot on 35mm lenses for my own street photography. There have been a handful of moments where I've shot on 28mm, 40mm, 85mm, but kind of sporadically. I have tried to commit to 28mm in the past, and I just don't think I'm anywhere near ready to be able to create the sort of images I want to create on a 28mm lens. So for the next year, we're going to have the a7C II with a 35mm 1.8 on the front, this Samyang. That's going to do most of what I need. And it has a trick. And it's part of the reason why I'm going to have this and the RX1. Obviously, this is a hybrid camera. The RX1, if I tried to make a video on this, would be catastrophic. The video is not good. Do not bother with it. The Samyang on the front of the Sony a7C II gives me 35mm in full frame. When I crop in photography mode, it gives me a 52mm at 14 megapixels in APS-C, which is pretty good considering the amount of images that I've shot on 12 megapixel full frame sensors, 16 megapixel 4/3 sensors, and I love them. To me, that's actually a very usable trade-off. And then within video mode, we have that same APS-C crop that gives us that 42 in APS-C. And then we also have the ability in 4K to crop in by an additional 1.5 times. So that takes us up to a 78mm full frame equivalent. And when you have an ND filter on the front of the 1.8 lens and you're cropped in all the way to like that 78, it still looks pretty good. Like a lot of the video you've been seeing in this video, like from around here in Veneto, from when we went to Bassano, from Venice, all the video has looked fantastic. So if I wanted to do everything, photography and video on the street lens, this is as close as I'm gonna get at the moment. Because I've tried to do that same thing with 28s, with 24s. It never really works as well. But this one, I feel like I've finally nailed the sweet spot for what I'm after. Because as much as I like doing videos like this with this Pocket 3, which is really good at what it does, sometimes I miss, actually composing some shots, having tighter field of views, being able to play around with shallow depth of field in video out on the street. And that's more of what I want to include in my videos this year as well, to accompany street photography much rather than just being like POV footage, which has its place, but it is quite boring to edit POV footage, if you ask me. So yeah, I am currently in Italy. It's currently New Year's Eve. In the morning though, don't worry, this isn't what I'm doing for New Year's Eve. I'm here for another week or so, and there's going to be another video while in Italy, and that's going to be using both of these cameras again. And honestly, while I've been away, I haven't missed having anything else. I haven't missed having a zoom lens, for example. However, if I was to go for longer trips, longer photography trips, I think I would have to probably take a zoom lens with the A7C II, but not for photography, just for video. I have my Tamron 17-28 that I think could be my do-it-all video lens on this camera with the crop factors and things applied. Having that ultra wide for talking heads like this on a really nice camera does make a world of difference. As good as the Pocket 3 is, this little 1-inch sensor, it's fine. For me, this is much more like a utilitarian thing rather than a proper creative tool, which I find a camera with interchangeable lenses is kind of just hard to beat at the moment. A quick caveat though about the A7C and sticking with this camera for the next year. This is dependent, right, bear with me. If Sony release an A7C Mark III, A7C R2, or the A7 V ends up being like a dreamboat, then I'll keep the lens, but I'll swap the camera. Deal? Yeah, that seems fine. That seems fair, because I am only human. I always have gas, both in flatulence and in acquisition syndrome. But the RX1, unless I somehow find the RX1R Mark II on a mega deal, I'll just keep the RX1. I don't really fancy paying the full price for an RX1R Mark II, but it feels like Defender Stratocaster in Wayne's World, like...
It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine.
This is great. It fits in a jacket pocket, leaf shutter, absolute amazing stealth camera. And then this, for when I want to be more of a serious streety boy. Anyway, if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. Thank you for watching my videos for the last year. I'm really excited to bring you a lot more videos this year. And if you consider supporting the channel, of course, I do have my Kodak film stock presets, my Fujifilm film stock presets, and my Naturally Filmic presets, which you can find on my store. And you can save by getting all three of these together in a 3-pack bundle. And the first 20 people to use this code at checkout will get 20% off their order. These are some of the best film simulation presets you can buy. I use these on 100% of the images you've seen in this video and all my other videos for the last couple of years. I'll be back next week with a video, hopefully from Milan, with both of these cameras on show. And if you want to check out another video on the RX1, check out this one right here, which is everything you need to know about getting started with fixed lens cameras.